Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Box Football. And obviously, it's a mighty congratulations from Box to Box Football to Liverpool Football Club for winning their 20th league title, which ties the record with Manchester United, so 20 titles apiece. And it brings up a very interesting conversation. James and I are certainly not the first two people to have this conversation, but who's a bigger football team? Liverpool or Manchester United? There's obviously a number of ways you can look at it. James, I'm interested in which way you're going to look at it. While you're kind of collecting your thoughts here, I can go through it with you. So, in the Premier League era, Manchester United have a massive 13. Liverpool only have two. But obviously, if we're going back to the first division, Liverpool have 18, Manchester United only seven, but 20, therefore, tied. In terms of FA Cups, League Cups, Liverpool have, and I should add, FA Charity Shields and Community Shields. I don't know how much weight we're given to that, but Liverpool 55, Manchester United 60. European honours. So this is European Cup, Champions League, UEFA Cup, Europa League, European Cup Winners' Cup, Super Cup. Liverpool have 13, Manchester United have six. The important one there being the European top title. Liverpool have six, and Manchester United only have three. And then in terms of like worldwide stuff, Club World Cup, Intercontinental Cup, Manchester United have two, Liverpool have one, but a little less important. So James, I've read off a bunch of stats there and victories, historic victories. In terms of size of a club, how do you break down that conversation and who's your money on?
It's Jack. It's an interesting one, and I do think I have to look at it from different lenses. I think in Europe, Liverpool are probably the bigger team. I'm talking about in the Champions League, in like what it represents. Like I think, when I'm talking about England, there is no greater night than like the lights. I mean, underneath the lights at Anfield, it is the number one place to be around that time. It's right next to Bayern Munich, right next to Turin, right next to the San Siro. Bernabeu is probably the number one there, but it's right next to all them teams there. And if you ask a bunch of European teams, like Liverpool's European weight is definitely a lot higher. The one thing Manchester United have always had on them is that the fact that they eclipsed them. And Jack, what Ferguson was able to do to get that 13 in a row, Jack, is something that if you're a Manchester United, we know how great Sir Alex Ferguson is, but if you're a Manchester United fan, there is no bigger figure than Sir Alex Ferguson. How he was able to, like Jack, make that jump. Because Jack, think about it. Before Ferguson, what it was 7 to 18.
Right.
It was Jack. The gap.
Unthinkable. Yeah.
It wasn't close. And if you told the Manchester United fan after the first Premier League title, yeah, I think in 92 that they were going to eclipse Liverpool, they would have laughed at you because the gap was so far big in what they've been able to do and what they represent, not just to me in England, but to me worldwide. Manchester United were the first team to me to bridge that gap in taking the leap into Asia and going into like different places in Africa. They really made them steps. They had great big figures like Cristiano Ronaldo, like as you said, David Beckham, so many big figures. And Liverpool are great. And I mentioned the fact of Europe and now them eclipsing with 20. But I don't know, Jack. I just feel like if I'm talking about fan bases and just the overall global talk, not just Europe talk, the global talk, I think Manchester United are bigger. You know,
So, I can add to that, and this is basically my whole point, right? In a footballing sense, I don't think there's any debate. I think it's Liverpool. I think that, I mean, if you're putting more weight to the modern era, that's fine, but that's an argument that just keeps going because in 25 years, 2025 is going to be 25 years ago. You know what I mean? So
hmm
that's kind of, if we're doing this whole argument where, and you can do it across all sports, like modern, there's benefits to nutrition and this and that, and to squeeze every ounce of it you can, then that's fine. I don't think that's always strictly fair, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. Liverpool's dominance in eras gone by is incredible. Even when Manchester United were really dominant, it was only one European title. I know there are a few finals in there, but there was only one where they were able to actually kind of pull it off, and it was in a penalty shootout against Chelsea.
Oh, it was two. 90,
Two,
yeah, they had 99 against Bayern, and
oh, that one too. I guess. Yeah, that is true. I guess that's not too big of a gap. But But even in that era, I still think in that Premier League dominance bit from the 2000s into the early teens that they probably should have done more. I, I make this is my only distinction in this conversation. Manchester United was successful and at their best as the internet, television, digital, this modern era where technology starts to come in, social media starts to become more of a thing. They kind of really rode the coattails of the internet era just starting out. So it was just when football was becoming massively, massively expansive, Premier League being watched all around the world, and they were the team that were winning. So they didn't just get one generation of fans on board; they get multiple generations of fans on board, right? Even myself, up until I was like 11 or 12, I was a Manchester United fan, and it was only when I got to secondary school where somebody drilled me and went, "What? Why do you support them?" And you actually stop and you go, 11 years old, 12 years old, you go, "Oh, probably just because they win all the time." And that's what happens, right? I think Liverpool are the bigger club if you're being a football purist, but I think purely because of the internet and the timing in which Manchester United was successful. You mentioned it, the fan base, revenue. Even if Liverpool win a couple of league titles here, Manchester United is still going to generate more money because there's more global interest in that team.
Jack, listen, I totally agree with you. If we're just talking about what they've done, to me, the biggest thing that separates them, because Manchester United always had the league thing over Liverpool, and they still do in the modern era, but overall, but like overall, it's equal now. But that European dominance from Liverpool, I think, is what really separates them. Because domestically, Jack, you can kind of go here and there, but Europe is to me the biggest thing. But I'm just gonna put this bit here that to me kind of makes me understand what makes Manchester United bigger than Liverpool. Now, also, what I would say is that I was born in I was born in the 90s, yeah, and I only probably started watching football in the mid 2000s. In what I've seen, I grew up seeing Manchester United ruin like my childhood, and Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, and them man, they're just going crazy. I wasn't born in the 80s. I didn't see Everton's dominance. I didn't see Spurs and all them man there. So I don't really know what, let's say, a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old seen like in that time. I've seen football through different lens. Don't get it twisted. I am an historian. I do go back and look. What I've seen is Manchester United dominance throughout the years, and even after Sir Alex Ferguson's left, and granted they haven't been that successful, Jack, we have seen them be in European finals. They have still won trophies. There was a period where Liverpool kind of struggled to compete. Liverpool went a couple of years without winning absolutely nothing. And then the biggest thing that kind of separates me is the draw of football players. When Manchester United are at their absolute dump, they're still attracting football players like Alexis Sanchez. Like, granted, it didn't work out, but Paul Pogba, there's Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Liverpool at their absolute lowest, they're bringing in Ricky Lambert, Stuart Downing, and them man there. So as you can see, the wave of football players is a lot higher for Manchester United than Liverpool. Obviously, Man United pay a little bit more, but I just do think the lure of being a Manchester United player is a lot more than being, to me, a Liverpool player. Like you look at Liverpool, they missed out on in the last couple of years. They missed out on some big, big, big signings, and I don't think Man United missed out on them signings compared to Liverpool missing out on players like Caicedo, Tchouameni, Lavia, all these players. I do think
Yeah.
Manchester United bring these guys in because their lure is a lot more heavier. I think, especially like for certain players, they probably respect what Manchester United have done because they've seen it compared to what, let's just say, Liverpool, like they've done. And to me, from what I've seen, in just Ferguson alone, they to me, I think in my eyes, when I think about the biggest teams in the world, there's three in my head: Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United. Those are my three.
I think you're probably right. Like I say, I think the reasoning isn't always strictly football reasoning. That's the only thing
Mm-hmm.
I'd say. But again, you made a really good point there. Even when a team is bad, James, the defending FA Cup champions are Manchester United. The year before that, they won a Carabao Cup, right? So it's two domestic trophies in really bad years within the league season years. James, it could be their worst league season, I think, ever, or since records began, or whatever statistic it is. They might win the Europa League. They're 3-0 up in the first leg on aggregate against Athletic Bilbao. The second leg's at Old Trafford. They're going to meet either Spurs or Bodo Glimt in the final. Now, again, Spurs game could be tricky. I mean, the Bodo Glimt game could be tricky, but if I'm a betting man, and I am, but I'm not betting on this, Manchester United could go 3 consecutive seasons with Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Europa League. Even when they're at their worst, they're winning reasonable enough silverware. The FA Cup granted them Europa League football this year. They win the Europa League, they're in the Champions League next year. So even when it's bad, it's kind of not always that bad. But again, I do go back to it. I think if Liverpool were having their successful period in the 2000s, just as we're getting into, digital TV, internet, social media, all this kind of stuff, and Manchester United had their success in the 70s, 80s, whatever, I think the scripts would be completely flipped.
Jack, I 100% like agree with you there. And you mentioned how like it's not always what you see on the football pitch. Don't get twisted, that plays a big part about it. But a bigger great example of this, Real Madrid had the Galacticos period. And for a lot of people, people look, wow, the Galacticos, like that is what made to me Real Madrid what they are today. The start sort of bringing all the best players in the world together. When you look at what they did on the football pitch, Jack, it was one Champions League, one league, one one or two league titles in a space of 7 years. And they had arguably some of the most dominant football players ever. They had 6 or 7 Ballon d'Or winners in their team, Jack, and it wasn't what it was meant to be on the football field. But when you look at it revenue wise and what just brought to the football team, it probably made Real Madrid even more successful than ever before due to
Yeah.
the fact of just having the star power there. And it's just not always about the football, it's everything around that. And just, Jack, you look at it, when Manchester United are in a crisis, everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
Jack, Liverpool went through this whole crisis of 30 years without a league title. Don't get it twisted, it's stuck with them. But Man United haven't won the league for 10 years and we're laughing. I mean, United, like it's every single day. Like, oh,
Yeah.
we're like, look at that leaking roof at Old Trafford. We're gonna point at everything that makes Manchester United bad because they're the team we want to talk about. What's that,
Hey,
Jack?
well,
Jack, what's that slogan that they have?
I was
Haters,
literally just about to say
go on,
hated,
hit it.
adored, never ignored, right? And again, clicks, interest. If you're going to go to Snapdragon, or I'm trying to think of one of their other sponsors, they've got uh there's some like crypto thing I think that sponsors them. Well, you're going to go to any of these companies and you're going to say, here's how much money we want for that shirt sponsorship or for this. You can point to, here's how many clicks we get. Here's our worldwide reach. There's this whole thing, an eighth of the world supports Man United. I think that's crazy incorrect. I think they're way, way off. But still, if they can show figures that suggest that an eighth of the world, 1 in 8 people support Manchester United in the globe, then they can still charge more money. And again, I hate to say it, their recruitment and their spending's not been good. But James, at some point, whether it takes 30 years, whether it takes 5 years, the team will be back at some point. They will get it right. Just like Liverpool have gotten it right. Just like, I mean, Arsenal didn't fall off that badly, but Arsenal are now somewhat getting it right. These big guys will always eventually come back around. It comes around in cycles. The one thing I think is interesting, and I don't want to have the video be crazy, crazy long, but do you think Liverpool make the most of their success? Because that's my one thing. 2 league titles in this Van Dijk, Salah, Klopp. I know Klopp and Slot, but this whole era, the European Cup's huge, of course it is, right? But then only a couple of league titles. When City were good, how many league titles was it in a row? Do you know what I mean? They really made the
Right.
most of it. When Manchester United were good, how many titles was it in how many years? Liverpool doesn't feel quite the same.
Not compared to what they did in the 80s. But guys, we've been babbling on for a while. United fans, Liverpool fans, let us know. Give us a reason why your club is bigger. Yeah. And if you disagree with anything me and Jack said, comment down below. Let's go. If you agree, give us a thumbs up. Guys, this is Box to Box Football. Like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you guys in the next clip.